what you're really fundamentally talking about, to put it into a context, is a relationship between sports and politics. The, it, to me, that's a relationship that's incestuous. Sports and politics are joined at the hip. That it's inextricable, and and there's no point in denying that. However, international sports federations deny it by definition. They uphold a fiction that sports and politics are separate. As long as you uphold that fiction, you can do whatever you want. Because once you don't uphold that fiction, then you've got to start bringing in a governing relationship or somehow norms, like there are other relationships like this that are conflictuous, but they are a fact of life. And so you put in a governing mechanism. You put in norms, a code of conduct, whatever it may be. FIFA has always opportunistically decided what it considers intervention in politics and what not, and what it considers political and what not. And as a result, I would argue that FIFA has been a pillar of Arab autocracy for decades. The Israeli-Palestinian case was interesting because it was multidimensional. So you've had an ongoing crisis, much longer, but very active, if you wish, in the last 4 to 5 years within FIFA between the Israelis and the Palestinians, in which the Palestinians have long argued that the Israelis are hindering the development of Palestinian football, the checkpoints, the arbitrary arrests. Several years ago, Palestine was penalized with 3 points because it couldn't come to Singapore to play a qualifying match, and so on. And what FIFA did was install one commission after the other. And they, Blatter would go to Israel, and they'd agree to have red-hot phones, so one federation could phone the other federation if there was a problem. And the Palestinian Federation very quickly found out that if a player gets stuck at a checkpoint on the West Bank, there's nothing the Israeli Federation can do. It's a security, it's an issue that's in the hands of the security forces, and the Federation has no say in that. Parallel to all of that, you got the fact that Palestine was accepted by the General Assembly of the United Nations as a state. And they were becoming a member of UN bodies. And the strategy at the time was to isolate Israel through the UN bodies. So the first time that this battle was fought was in FIFA, where Palestine tried to get Israel suspended. And the Palestinians found out that they have a lot of support, but they don't have 2/3. And they lobbied just as hard as the Israelis did. And they had to pull the motion to have Israel suspended. And then you got another round of commissions. And the Palestinians, I think very smartly, tried to focus on an issue that constituted a violation of FIFA rules rather than it were embedded in UN resolutions or whatever. And that was the fact that you have, I think it's 6 teams that belong to Israeli settlements on the West Bank, but are playing in Israeli leagues. And under FIFA rules, if Singapore wants to play in Brunei, both Singapore and Brunei have to agree on this, and then FIFA may approve that. Singapore can't simply unilaterally decide it's playing in Brunei. So if those 6 teams were to legally play in Israeli leagues, the Palestinian Football Association would have to agree to that. Israelis never asked them, and the Palestinians would have never agreed. So that was what they went on. And the committee under Tokyo Sexuale essentially came out with three solutions. The one it preferred was one in which the Israelis would have had about 6 months to either legalize this or ban the teams from playing. And at the last FIFA Council, which was in Mumbai probably about 10 days ago, FIFA decided that it wasn't going to interfere in politics. And therefore, it was not going to make a ruling on this one way or the other, and simply closed the issue. It's been sustainable for decades.
Yeah.
Look, everybody who's part of this has a vested interest.
Yeah.
The international sports associations, the governments, everybody has a vested interest in it. But you know, just look at who runs the AFC. Sure, Sheikh Salman was a footballer. But he's a member of a ruling family who had no problem with his players being tortured. You know, so there have been here and there little breaches. So Thomas Bach, the president of the International Olympic Committee, gave a speech probably about 2 years ago during the Asian Games in Incheon in Korea, in which for the first time he argued that there had to be some recognition of both the relationship to politics as well as the relationship to business, which was, at least to me, a startling statement. He hasn't done much to act on it. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. The problem being that I would argue that what it constitutes is political corruption, and that is the enabling base both for financial corruption as well as for performance corruption within international sports.